Today on the Meltdown, lots to get to here on this magical Monday. A pretty weak weekend at the box office had no hit newcomers as both Blink Twice and The Crow failed to find any type of footing at the Cineplex. We will give you our thoughts on the current state of cinema offerings, along with Tyler's take on both new films and one you may not have even heard about that he saw this weekend. 10 with Tim will hit on a double-digit number of random topics with our panel, including E.G. of the Pennant Grace, who is going to give us the full rundown on attending the recent Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert run in London. And with football officially being back, John is going to profile the Week 1 games that seem to be bolstering the greatest level of intrigue with another Luntz's List. It's all happening right here on the Meltdown. As we are presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
Two big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know. The me sound a meltdown. It's the meltdown. Time for the meltdown. Coming for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, all of you beautiful Meltdonians. We appreciate your support here of what we're building each and every day. We're almost to 1,500 subscribers here on YouTube, and we are very excited about that for sure. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you for hitting thumbs up on this video. It really does help the growth of the channel. I am Meltdown host Tim Melton, and that is my returning co-host. Back in his regular form, he survived the zombie plague, Mr. John Lunsford. How are you feeling, John?
I'm here. I'm okay.
You're here so you won't get fined?
Yeah, I'm just here. Yeah, Tyler's headset's still plugged in from last week.
This is what happens when John is out. He has to come back in. He has to fix things, and guess what? He's making it work. Boom.
Here you go, Tyler. Sorry, you can talk now.
Hold on. Let's try it over again because you have a joke. You have a one-liner. John, how are you feeling?
I'm here.
He died last week and came back as the Crow.
There we go. Now we have it. I'm not sure the joke was worth doing all of that setup, but
it was.
I'm plug your microphone real quick. Okay, sorry.
John, you got a chance to see one of your most anticipated movies of the year this past weekend in Sing Sing. Tyler also saw this, but I want to start with you, John, because I know this was higher on your list than it was even Tyler's, who's set through a bunch of crap this year. Is Sing Sing the real deal? Is it the real deal? Because I've heard the festival hype. I know there's going to be a political campaign for this thing to be heralded with all kinds of Academy Award nominations. I plan on seeing it today. Is it worth my time? Is it going to deliver?
Sing Sing is by far the best movie I have seen this year.
Wow.
Now, it is slightly ahead of Dune, which was number one for me. I think Tyler has it at the same place. But
you got it ahead of Dune?
Well, I was going to wait until you went to me for my reaction.
Sorry.
But yeah, I've got it ahead of Dune right
that's
now.
That's not my fault. That's Johnny
No,
spoiling your thoughts on the film.
It was very, very good. And I think movies, depending on how they're made, sometimes can affect ultimately where you may rank them and how you may feel about them. And the fact that this has literally 2 actors in it and everybody else is an actual inmate made this movie that much better to me. And the fact that there's somebody who right now is a favorite to at least get nominated. I don't think they're a favorite to win, but
Coleman
gosh.
Domingo?
No, not Coleman Domingo. I just forgot
I haven't seen the movie yet.
the one that played Divine Eye in the movie.
What's
his real name?
His name is Divine Eye.
They all go by
his real nickname is Divine Eye.
They all go by nicknames, but like Clarence Macklin, I think is his real name.
Yeah, that's it.
He's one of the favorites to get nominated for supporting actor, and he's a legitimate inmate from Sing Sing who did this program, and that's who all the people were that were in this. I think most of them are out now, if not all of them are out now, obviously. But the fact that when the credits rolled, it had Coleman Domingo, it had the dude from Sound of Metal. I forgot his name, but the one that was like the home owner, you know.
And Sound of Metal, by the way, was fantastic. I love that movie on Amazon.
And he's real good in it too. But
after that, everybody is as himself.
Got it.
They all literally just played themselves, a fictionalized younger version of themselves, essentially. But it was incredible. It was really well acted by every single person in it. The story was well done. Jay said the prisoners got SAG cards. That's the other thing about this is every single person on this movie was paid
the exact same
the
wage.
same wage. So Coleman Domingo got the same as the prisoners, and I'm pretty sure they are in SAG because it was a SAG thing that they did this with. Every production assistant got the same. I mean,
if you want to talk about something that's going to help them at the award season, that right there will push them.
Yeah, they all took the same wage in exchange for points on the back end.
And I don't know ultimately how much it costs because this is obviously, as most A24 movies are movies that break the box office. But they did that, and it had at first, I looked at Wikipedia, it's like, this movie cost $86 million to make, and I'm like, hold on, there's no way it costs $86 million to make. And it was pulled from a random story that also included the creator, because the creator did something like this too. That cost $86 million to make, and I was like, that makes a little more sense. But I don't know how much it actually costs to make. It's not going to make any money because it's just not that kind of movie. But come award season, I think it's going to get a lot of praise. Even if it doesn't win a ton of stuff, it'll get nominated for a lot of things, and it'll win other awards and all. And it's all the hype is very much valid.
I feel like we haven't talked in a long time, which is accurate in this studio with these microphones. So I have questions. I know you were really looking forward to this movie. I know that you loved the experience of watching it and coming out. You were very high on it. Is it a movie that would benefit from a second watch by you in a theater or even at home? Is it something, because a lot of times, John, you'll see movies and you'll say, I never want to see it again because it can't be as perfect as it was the first time I saw it, so I'll never watch it again. Even with movies you absolutely love. Do you feel that way about Sing Sing?
A little bit. So like one movie that I have not gone back to watch, I probably need to, but I have been adamant I don't want to rewatch is Birdman, because I feel like Birdman, I'm watching a play. And so when I go see a Broadway play, it's not something I can just go see again. You got to be in New York. You got to pay way more money than you want to for a ticket. And you got to, try to relive. It's like going to a restaurant after you've had an incredible meal and then it's not quite as good the second time. Like, it can never live up to that hype. And so I've been afraid with a movie like Birdman that was good, won all kinds of awards and everything, and has an incredible cast, incredibly shot, that was done by the same person that did Children of Men that, we just had our retro review about, that I think is the greatest movie of all time. I'm terrified to go watch it because it won't be as good as it was, because it's about a play and it's very much done like a play. This is kind of the same way. I mean, it spans way more time. It's not like it's just one day necessarily. It spans actually a pretty long time. But it's about theater. So there's part of this that's like, I saw the performance. It was incredible. I'm kind of scared to go watch it again. Not that I think it's going to be bad or anything. There are little things I would like to see. There's more of like the inmates that I didn't necessarily pay attention to, that later on it's like, I kind of like this person. I wish I'd pay more attention to them at the beginning, where you're paying attention to Coleman Domingo or somebody instead. That, yes, this is probably one I will rewatch, but there is part of that like, man, that was so good. I want to have it as it was and enjoy it.
I think this next question that I have, I'm a very curious mind, and I think that this next question I have will answer so many different questions that I don't even have to ask after I get through this. And I hope you don't take any offense to this or slight to this. I mean
probably
that.
will, but
no.
Continue.
I think you'll agree with me, but I hope you see where I'm coming from. Your parents are very different people. I mean, like polar opposites when it comes to the content that they ingest.
You know what they say, opposites attract.
Opposites attract. But you have a weird flavor profile because you will defend the most pretentious of theater-driven experiences while also completely being there opening night with your Fast and the Furious popcorn bucket, excited to see where Dom ends up taking the family.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is the fact that your parents are kind of both of those sensibilities and you're the product of them. I set all this up in a almost pretentious way to ask the question, is this a movie that both of your parents would love?
They both went to go see Saturday and loved.
Both of them?
Yes.
See, to me, that right there tells me all I need to hear. That this is going to be a real winner, because that covers the entire spectrum of appreciation.
I don't know if it's like number one of the year necessarily for them, but it was one that they were looking forward to. They went to go see and very much enjoyed.
Is there anything I said that's out of bounds?
No, they are very different people. The Fast and Furious love. My mom doesn't care about seeing those, so I go see that with my dad.
But even your dad will watch the bloodiest, most disgusting stuff, and he'll be having a good time, and your mom won't even watch the trailer.
No, yeah, exactly. And they split the other day, so she could go see It Ends With Us, and I guess he went to go see Deadpool. I don't think there was any. Or no, he may have
That
seen,
sounds
he may have
right.
seen,
I don't care what the story is,
he may
but
have seen
that
Alien,
sounds
but
right.
whatever it was thing because
Whatever it is,
he
that
obviously
tracks.
did not want to see It Ends With Us because It Ends With Us is a serious movie. So when I say, it's a chick flick, it's not like a romantic comedy or something like that. I mean, it is very much a serious movie, but it's still a chick flick essentially. And we go and enjoy movies like that because we go see everything. But he is not going to go see that.
When I talked to your parents at the kickoff party about becoming a soccer coach, because I can't stop talking about this. That's my new identity.
Something also my dad hates.
Your mom was very supportive of me having a prominent role in my daughter's life. Your dad, however, was like, screw that communist kickball. I ain't watching that crap. And I'm like, well, what if John had wanted to play? Would you? And then we get the story of you actually played for 1 or 2 seasons.
And when I was real little.
How did he handle that? Did he get banned from the park? Your dad's a special individual.
I mean, it's one of those things you support your son no matter what. And then when that's done, you don't care.
Okay.
Hey, I have graduated from Homewood football. You know what? My dad still goes to Homewood football games. If it was soccer, he would not be still going to Homewood soccer games.
I don't want you saying anything that gets your dad brought in front of the Homewood City Council or anything to have to defend himself. So please.
Would be the first time.
Let's just keep it simple here. Okay. We now get to Tyler, who has spent almost all weekend at the Cineplex. Tyler, you've seen the good, you've seen the bad, you've seen some things you've liked, like Sing Sing, which I hear is now your favorite movie of the year, potentially. It's in contention?
I sat there for a minute and I said, am I going to put this above Dune? And I sat there and I pondered and I reflected and I said, you know what? Sing Sing did a lot more with a lot less than Dune did. Dune needed the $200 million budget with these crazy shots of the desert and all these action sequences, whereas Sing Sing, you've just got a decommissioned prison and acting talent.
See, I'm glad that I haven't seen Sing Sing yet. I'm going to see it today because this is heightening the experience for me because there was already a lot of chatter, and you guys both knew what that chatter was. Tyler, you knew that the expectations for this movie were raised based on the fact that it had been so championed by so many different people, and you went in with that knowledge, and you walked out calling it the best movie of the year. So the fact that it lived up to those expectations and maybe even surpassed them impresses me after all the slop that you've seen in 2024.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've ever been more engaged with a movie, just paying attention to line delivery, nonverbal acting, and all of the camera work, because you don't have those big expansive sets, the crazy blue screen action, or things that you would get in other movies. So it forces you to really pay attention to the skill that's brought to the table.
So 5 out of 5 for you.
Absolutely.
And John,
without
you're
question.
5 out of 5 on this.
Absolutely.
So John, for those that may be on the fence of like, I've never even heard of this movie until y'all started talking about it 5 minutes ago.
And it's probably already gone for all I know.
I'm going to see it this afternoon, so it's not
saying
gone.
after that, it's probably gone.
But what is your sales pitch to get people in the theater to actually see this movie? Because here's what we hear all the time, including from a contributor that will be joining us later on the show here. Mm-hmm. They only want to see original cinema. That's the only thing they want to see. And I don't know if this falls strictly into the category of original cinema, but I assume that
it is based on a book.
It's based on a book, so it's adapted from a book, but the story itself is something that is very original in that it's a true story that's being replicated onto the screen. What's the sales pitch to get people to actually go to the theater to support a movie like this? Because it really takes a push. It really takes word of mouth to get somebody who maybe isn't even used to going to the theater, goes once every 3 months, to go see a movie like this that is a little bit of a tougher sell for people.
If you want to see a movie, and the movies that exist now between Marvel and also throw Star Wars in there, and like the Godzilla movies of the world, be it American or Japanese, I feel like a lot of times story is one thing that falls by the wayside in this because it's all about CGI. It's all about the craziness of the movie. How can we make, Godzilla blow up buildings even bigger than last time? And I know Godzilla -1 ultimately had a really good story, but people think Godzilla, they think what we have with Americanized Godzilla, because most people probably didn't see Godzilla -1.
See, this is the best way to describe your parents. Your dad would love Godzilla X Kong, even though you don't pronounce the X. He would, going up and like, I'll take a ticket for Godzilla X Kong, and I'd be right there behind him. Yeah, he said the X. Okay. And then your mom would love Godzilla -1 if she could get over the fact that it is pretty, there's a lot of human death in it.
It's a rough movie.
But still.
If you want just a good story, a well-written story, and meaningful performances. This is one that, like, we're going to get into this Friday with what we're doing Friday. But there's a lot of movies out there that are very much Oscar bait movies in what they're talking about, what the overall story is, with who's cast in the movie, whatever. This is not one of those movies. This may seem, I guess, on the surface, and the way we're talking, like, oh, it's just one of those A24 movies. It's one of those pretentious movies. I don't think it's pretentious necessarily. It very much pushes theater, and if you're not a theater person, then you may not like it quite as much. But like, that's why I think both my parents like it, because they're both very much involved in theater. Me too. But if you just want a well-acted, well-written story that keeps you hooked, and especially understanding where it's coming from, being a real story and being real prisoners who have gone through this rehabilitation through the arts program, then this is a movie you should go see. This is a movie you should consume. This is something that's so real and not over the top, just trying to be the kind of movie people want to see in 2020, or people think people want to see in 2024, if that makes sense.
Tyler, if we were doing a lunchless list of movies you've seen over the past few days, number one obviously is Sing Sing.
Yes.
But number two would be what?
Blink twice, probably.
I did love that you blinked while saying that. Number three would be
Strange Darling.
Which is a movie that I know almost nothing about. It's got Casey Affleck in it?
No, that's Slingshot this weekend.
Oh, gosh.
That's the space one.
Once again, I know nothing about Strange Darling or whatever, but tell me a little bit about it.
It is a horror thriller suspense type movie. A guy and a girl meet up on an online dating app. Girl is worried that dude might be a serial killer, and it's told in a non-linear fashion.
Okay. Well, it kind of feels like Barbarian a little bit to me. It's kind of got that same sort of vibe from what I can hear, which is a movie I love, Barbarian. Check that out for sure. Barbarian, starring someone.
Was that Justin Long?
Yeah, Justin Long, but there's another person in Barbarian that is in the headlines for all the wrong reasons this weekend, which is going to lead me to continue this lunchless list. What would be the fourth spot on your list of movies you've seen recently?
By far and away, it's The Crow with Bill Skarsgård. I'm assuming he did he do something?
He's in Barbarian
too.
But he was also in what is arguably the worst movie of 2024 in The Crow. If you saw us on Friday, I had just come out of The Crow, and I want to apologize for my unprofessional behavior because I was still very scarred by what I had seen. But, John, you knew you weren't going to be seeing this.
I knew it was going to be garbage.
You knew it was going to be garbage. There's been a lot of garbage that's come out this year that you have wandered into. This was not one of those films. Does Laurel have any sort of intention to see The Crow?
No, she's right there with me that this is just looks absolutely stupid, no desire.
It is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
I've tried to comprehend the story post having seen it, and it's gotten worse for me. I cannot figure out how to make it work in my brain that this is a movie that had some sort of screenwriting credit. Whoever's credited with the screenwriting of this should be ashamed of themselves because it is an absolute cluster. It is a mess. It feels like there are pieces of this puzzle that are missing of how we get from point A to point Z in the film. The Crow is a hot garbage train wreck. It's not just that I hate the style of it, because I really, once again, I was the one that was highest on the trailers for The Crow. I was the highest on the trailers out of all of us. So stylistically, it didn't offend me. But what a garbage piece of storytelling The Crow is. Don't go see it. That is my top recommendation. If you listen to one thing I say this year, don't go see The Crow, because it is not even so bad. It's not even so bad it's good. It's not even fun to laugh at.
No, it's not a fun bad movie. It's just a bad movie that makes you angry because none of it makes any sense.
John, if we had gone out on the town a few months ago and you had, had a couple of alcoholic beverages, Tyler had a couple of alcoholic beverages, I had one alcoholic beverage, and we had gone to see Madam Web,
you wouldn't remember any of it.
It would have been, we could have had fun with how bad it was, right? Like, we could have at least had some fun. You can't do that with The Crow.
I mean, that's what I did with Madam Web, and I had a good time.
Yeah. Like, going to see cats on shrooms would be fun.
That might be scary.
Yeah, I mean...
Judi Dench popping out at you like that? Come on now, that would be a blast. 3D,
James
seeing
Corden,
in 3D.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Just the costumes and all that. The Crow is not fun in any way. There is no amount of illicit drugs either done in the movie or that can be done beforehand that would make this a winner. And I hope they put that on the damn poster. Okay.
don't think so.
John, I got to ask you about this. I saw this headline this week, and I said, I got to talk with John about this. Deadline was the first to report the news that Ted Lasso Season 4 is likely happening at Apple TV. Sudeikis is believed to already be involved as an executive producer, according to Variety. Production on Season 4 could begin in early 2025, according to Deadline and The Wrap. How exciting of an announcement is this? Because you were a big Ted Lasso fan, and if they had ended after Season 3, I think that there would have been some people narratively that maybe were disappointed if that had been the actual conclusion, because there were some things set up maybe towards the end of Season 3 that weren't really paid off in the appropriate way, and Season 4 looks like it's happening now.
The problem with Season 3 is, because I made a joke when Laurel showed this to me Saturday, and was like, because the whole thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say the Deadline article I read made a comment that the UK union side of things, like their equity actors, had some kind of like clause that basically brought them right back in as like a guaranteed, because the whole point of SAG and various unions is get paid and to get work. But that the American actors had not necessarily. Now, Jason Sudeikis had been producing it, but like Brendan Hutt that played Beard and some others hadn't necessarily like signed deals to actually come back and act. And I think Juno Temple, even though she's British, I think she's with SAG. So I don't know if everybody is fully signed for it or not. I assume they all will be. I assume they all will all come back. But the thing is, last season was like Ted Lasso without a lot of Ted Lasso in it. And that was, I think, the biggest problem with it. And
it was like if you wanted Daemon Targaryen to be a big role in Season 2 of House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing. So I hope when they bring this back, it is strictly about Ted. Because, and I get other people became big. Brett Goldstein had become bigger, so let's put more of him in there. Juno Temple had become bigger, so let's put more of him in there. Hannah Waddingham had become bigger than just what we saw from Game of Thrones, so let's make more of her character. And they added all these storylines that were really weird, that didn't really make a lot of sense given what we had seen the first 2 seasons of the show. And I hope they get away from all of that and go back to what they were the first 2 seasons of the show. Now, at the end of Ted Lasso Season 3, spoiler alert, I guess I can spoil it, it's been like a year now, but
it's fair game here.
He quits coaching soccer and comes home to America and basically makes up with his family and everything's all hunky-dory, and Beard stays over there, stays coaching, and gets married to, I can't remember the crazy girlfriend he had over there, but and everybody kind of goes their separate ways. And that's kind of it. And he has this weird dream sequence on the plane where all this stuff, all these happy endings happen for people and stuff, but it's kind of weird how it played out. I don't know if they're going to say the whole thing was a dream. He really is still over there, and he was just thinking about coming home. I don't know what they're going to do with this, but it seems like, honestly, the best solution is to make it where American football is actually involved in it somehow. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I feel like he's coaching American football, or he ends up working for the NFL or something like that.
What are the chances I become a soccer coach now and Ted Lasso becomes an American football coach again?
Again, yeah. I mean,
you inspired him.
I guess so.
I don't know how you tried to wrap the show up. You didn't do a really good job wrapping the show up, but you tried to completely wrap the show and move on. And now, of course, Apple is going to throw money at anything that works, and this is something that worked for them. And you're trying to bring it back, and I just don't know how you can legitimately do it.
Well, there's that story from the weekend.
Whatever it is.
There's a project coming out on Hulu that I'm really excited about. I saw a limited series with Kate Winslet called Mayor of Easttown.
Very good on Max.
So good. So good.
Very good.
Like, incredibly good. And it was one of the last TV projects, especially limited series, that I've been like super captivated by, that I've had access to, right? I'm sure I would love Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't have Apple TV Plus. Kate Winslet, it's announced, is going to star in a new Hulu series from writer Ed Solomon and produced by A24. It's going to be titled The Spot, and this is how it's been described. When a successful surgeon and her schoolteacher husband begin to suspect that she may be responsible for a child's hit-and-run death, their quest for truth spirals into a web of mounting suspicion and dark secrets, testing their resolve and their relationship as they confront the possibility of hidden guilt and betrayal. That's all I need to hear to know I want to watch this series. The fact that Kate Winslet is doing this as well, after having seen what I saw in her limited run there with Mayor of Easttown, I'm all in on this, just from the description of this. And I feel like it's one of those that a lot of people are going to be buzzing about after it comes out that you will have heard about first, maybe right here, in that it's going to, I think it'd be a big series. It's going to get a big rollout. It's going to get a lot of promotion. It's going to be a huge hit for Hulu/Disney. And I think it's going to have a lot of couples watching it as well. And who knows? It may create some tough conversations between couples that maybe go one way or the other and decide to side with one character over another. Does this interest you at all? We're not necessarily playing hot or cold, but I assume this would get at least a lukewarm from you.
She is somebody who typically, when she pops up, interests me. Like when I heard she was going to be an Avatar, it's like, ooh. And I know they're all, blue aliens essentially, but it's still somebody that's like, oh, that's a big name to be a part of it. Did you ever watch The Regime on Max?
I did not.
It intrigued me enough, but it was on during something else or was coming right after something else where, you get through with your Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, Succession style shows and kind of need a break for a little bit after that. It came after one of those and I never watched whatever it was. But I thought Mayor of Easttown was very, very good. And, I would look forward to something like this.
Kate Winslet is a top 5 actress working today. True or false? She brings it every single time she's on screen.
She's
in contention.
She's definitely in contention. There's a lot of younger ones that are starting to pop up there and be more legitimate maybe than they would have been a couple of years ago. But, yeah, she's still up there.
All right, we've got to talk about this. This is something I've been very excited about. I saw this list, and I don't want you to Google anything yet, John. I want your honest reaction when I tell you this. Variety decided to do basically a Luntz's list where they ranked A24's 35 best movies.
Okay.
And when you click on this to start the list.
I'm just pulling my list up because I have.
Oh, you have your list?
I have my list.
Okay.
Letterboxd is a great thing, and Sing Sing was A24, so I just had to update it.
At number 35
okay.
is Midsummer from 2019. There's no way. John, there's no way Midsummer is the 35th best A24
So
movie.
I have Midsummer 24th.
That's still 11 spots better from a non-horror fan than what Variety has given Midsummer.
But
here.
if you drop
I have a confession to make, Tim.
You've never seen it.
No, I've seen it. I
hated it.
I didn't like it nearly as much as Hereditary. I thought Midsummer was just like, okay. It hit that level of too pretentious for its own good for me.
So let me tell you this.
That's why I loved it.
I also think Hereditary is a better movie than Midsummer. So that's not a too hot of a take. It's
I
just
will never see Hereditary, therefore Midsummer is definitely my favorite movie that he's done.
Okay. I'm gonna throw another.
Also has Florence Pugh, who's the first person that came to mind for some reason when I started thinking, is Kate Winslet a top 5 actress? I'm like, who would I potentially put ahead of her? For some reason, Florence Pugh is the first thing that came to mind, which I may put ahead of her, but that's only because there's more with Florence Pugh right now than there is from Kate Winslet, if that makes sense.
Whoever made this list obviously hates horror movies because The Witch is number 31. And I know that this would
don't disagree with that.
Be one that you don't like either. But did you write this list? Hold on, Variety.
I have The Witch number 53.
Jeez. number 29.
Not my thing.
Number 29, A Ghost Story.
Ooh, okay, now
it's starting to get personal.
Now
I'm gonna hit you with another right hook. Number 28, The Iron Claw.
Oof.
Ooh.
The Ghost Story and Iron Claw both top 10 for me.
Number 27, The Disaster Artist.
That's really low.
There's 6 movies that I think, for all intents and purposes, are absolutely perfect movies from A24.
Uh-huh.
And if you said, hey, turn me on to A24, they win a bunch of Oscars. They're always seen as like one of the better distributors / now that are doing their own stuff, production studios out there. Turn them on to me. There's 6 movies that I think are perfect that I would recommend to everybody.
Throw them out.
Number 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's my number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Number 25 on their list.
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
I can understand it not being for everybody, and of course, Jonathan Majors has made that.
Hereditary, number 24.
Because that was definitely better than Hereditary. But once again, I'm not a horror person. But I think Jonathan Majors has hurt the legacy of this film, but it's a very good movie. Number 3, Ex Machina.
Okay. I don't even know. I don't know where they have Ex Machina. I'm looking. I don't even think
they not even rank Ex Machina.
Well, I'm not seeing it yet.
It Better be top five.
number 9.
So I feel like still though. Number 4, Moonlight.
They have Moonlight number 1.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Of course, you are. Uncut Gems number 16.
Number 5, The Disaster Artist, and number 6, A Ghost Story.
Yeah,
I have Sing Sing number 7 right behind those 6.
they have 8th Grade at number 13. Waves at number 12.
I have 8th Grade 15.
Minari at number 11.
Where's mid-90s?
Nari's
on that
good.
list?
I have it at 18.
Haven't seen it yet. Past Lives at number 10.
I have 13.
Ex Machina at number 9. Everything Everywhere All at Once at number 8.
Oof.
The Farewell at number 7.
Do they have room in the top 5?
The Zone of Interest at number 6.
Nope. That movie was overrated last year. Way overrated.
A Most Violent Year at number 5.
I never saw that one.
Casey Affleck, I believe.
Yeah.
Number 4, Close, a movie I've never heard of.
Close.
Came out in 2022. Never heard of it. Number 3. Now,
Oh, I know what that
I
is.
feel like
haven't
number
seen it.
3 is way off because I went in wanting to love this movie. Come On with Joaquin Phoenix at number 3.
I feel like that one kind of flopped.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. It's like all black and white. It's about him and his son or something, but I ended up never seeing it because I think it kind of disappeared.
Lady Bird at number 2. Moonlight at number 1.
I understand Lady Bird.
I don't see mid-90s on this list.
Not my thing. Mid-90s was just okay. I have it 34th. I'm surprised. Let's see. Surprised the Florida Project wasn't up there. I feel like that's one based on this list and how they have ranked it would be up there. Surprised After Sun isn't up there.
You take A24 movie fandom very seriously.
I do.
And
The Lobster's really good. Surprised that's not up there.
If anyone's wanting to maybe commission you to
The
write
Lighthouse, that's A24, right?
Yeah.
to write
Yeah,
a
that's
proper
really good.
list, you're
That was
willing to
17th.
offer your services to create a Lunce's list for anybody that's willing
Yes.
to throw it out there. So
Yes.
that's good. All right, let's get into this, and that is the box office from this past weekend. The dog days of August are officially here for the movie business, as no new film cracked the top 3, and no film this weekend made more than $20 million domestically. Returning to the number 1 spot after taking 1 week off, Deadpool and Wolverine at $18.3 million, reclaiming the first spot in its 5th weekend. The cumulative international earnings number now sits at over $1.2 billion. It is climbing the charts. It's soon going to pass Iron Man 3 for one of the top 6, I think, highest grossing Marvel movies of all time. Deadpool and Wolverine, John, we talk about this movie every week because it has been a part of the box office discussion for sure. When I think back to it, it is a movie that I still think holds so much of 2024's pop culture landscape in its hands by revitalizing a lot of things that our generation made popular the first time around.
Every review I read for Blink Twice has a Channing Tatum Gambit quote in it. It's so weird because that's like of
He
all
really
the
made
things,
a name for himself.
The thing
there.
is, he's done multiple movies this summer.
Yeah.
Because he did Blink Twice. He did
Fly Me
Fly
to
Me
the
to the
Moon,
Moon.
yeah.
And then all anybody cares about is the one I guess he's credited at the end in it. But
Where
like,
you can't understand a word he's
but you
saying.
can't understand a word he says, and it's his one funny.
It's funny.
I guess Fly Me to the Moon is supposed to be a comedy. I never saw it, but
It was supposed to be.
he's not necessarily funny in it. But because like we got through with Blink Twice, and my wife was like, Channing Tatum's just like, I mean, she liked the movie okay, but it's like he's just not a leading guy. And it's like his best role of the summer is the one he just randomly pops up as a total side character in with Deadpool. And the two he's the leading guy in aren't going to make any money.
Yeah.
And I expected Fly Me to the Moon to do a little better than it did. Blink Twice, it only costs like $20 million to make, so overall I guess it's doing okay. But he really isn't. Outside of 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, like it's hard to find leading movies that it's like, oh, I definitely love this Channing Tatum led movie. But Deadpool Wolverine, it has every pop culture. I say that to say it is like every pop culture thing of the summer all rolled into one because he has a new movie come out and everybody instantly goes back to Deadpool and thinks about it. And obviously it made a lot more money than Blink Twice did.
For sure. Alien Romulus slips to the number 2 spot after being number 1 last week. It took like a 61% drop, which is not good by almost every standard, Tyler. This is a movie we've both championed. John liked it more than he probably thought he would. There are elements of it that he thought were well crafted, which in itself, not being a horror movie fan, I think is massive praise onto the film for what it was able to accomplish. It is kind of a greatest hits album from a band you already like. And I really do feel like it is that. You've seen it twice now. You thought it was just as good the second time as the first, it seems. Why has Alien Romulus not really become a talking point of the summer with a lot of general audiences?
I think it's like you said, it's an album. It's a greatest hits album from a band you should already know. If you weren't already an Alien fan, I don't see Alien Romulus being what turns you into a full-on Alien fan. Even though it is a really great movie, I think you have to go in with some sort of prior knowledge, prior experience to really enjoy it.
John, you don't like the horror genre very much. That's been prevalent here.
Correct.
But you are a fan of the sci-fi genre very much.
Correct.
Why does something like Star Trek, Star Wars, Blade Runner, Alien, all of these sort of older franchises set in space, why can they not recruit younger cadets to come become fans of the actual franchises themselves? Because Alien Romulus is the latest entry for a franchise that's been around for 45 years.
Because it's hard to look up at space when your head's down there, down here. It's hard to get it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's the way
I
the
think
younger
he's right.
generation is.
Nobody's dreaming of becoming an astronaut
little, I
anymore.
used
We're
to
dreaming
look up.
of becoming live streamers.
Yeah, I used to look up at the stars.
I did it.
And say, man, it'd be cool to go out there one day and find the aliens. Instead, it's like
real deep.
Oh, cool. Here's a TikTok about aliens instead. I spend more time on TikTok than anybody in this room. But it's just, I don't know. And the thing is, of course, I just hate how it's a greatest hits album. But one of those you really liked in there was played by the 8th grade band instead, which is what I hate about Alien Romulus. It's just an old franchise. And I feel like people look at it as that's an old thing. And the EGs of the world is like, oh, we've already had Blade Runner. We've already had Alien. I don't want to see another Blade Runner and Alien, even though there have been good Blade Runners and Aliens post the original ones.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that's a completely fair comparison.
Yeah,
'cause
she's
EG's
seen
never
zero.
seen any of those. So
I said the EGs of the world
no, she
that
just likes popcorn.
don't want original, or they all they want is original stuff, but they'll never see the original stuff. But they'll also never see the stuff that, like, I mean, did Alien crush it at the box office when it first came out?
I don't think any of the Alien movies whatsoever have crushed it.
I mean, so it's something I feel like that has very much caught on later. I feel like Blade Runner had to have 5,000 director's cuts before it finally caught on. Star Wars, Star Trek, a little different, but there's been so many of both of those on TV and movie form that that's a little different. But I don't know. It just doesn't work for the younger generation.
But it's really all of these different space epic franchises that are faltering with recruiting newer, younger fans to them. And they're all going to die off one way or another or really lose potential in sequels. Like, if you're Disney right now, are you for sure greenlighting another Alien movie coming out anytime soon with Fede Alvarez or with any other director behind the helm of this? This is something that they inherited from the Fox buy, and they decided to push this forward. It was going to be a Hulu movie first, like what they did, what they were going to do with The First Omen. They ended up releasing that in theaters. It underperformed, even though I thought it was a fantastic movie. I think Alien Romulus is a fantastic movie that isn't going to be a huge loss for Disney. This is going to be a movie that either breaks even or becomes profitable during the late portions of its run. It was an $80 million movie, and while they do have to split a lot of the profits with the theater chain, it should be enough worldwide to turn this into a profitable film. But is it enough to warrant a sequel? I'm not quite sure.
Well, if they go to Ridley Scott / Fede Alvarez / anybody involved with it and say, hey, get this done for $60 million, then you're done. It's done. Go do it.
They may say no thanks,
because this one was 80. So it's like, hey, if you can do, maybe a smaller scale, you don't have to have this, and this. They ended up costing $20 million of that. Or
but who's the star of this movie that they paid to be in it? I think that the thing that they cut was the A-list cast. I mean, there is no A-lister in this movie.
There is no real cast in it. Kaylee Spaney is decent, but not like A-list or anything. But I mean, outside of the Prometheus Alien
Covenant,
Covenant,
can you cut and keep the quality where it is? I don't know.
It certainly can't cut any visual effects any more than you
all
have.
I gotta say is Godzilla -1 only cost $10 million to make, so it exists out there.
Okay, all right. Well, that movie definitely delivered on in a lot of different ways. Alien Romulus, I still think, is a high quality movie that I hope more people check out before it ends its theatrical run. It ends with us. You cannot say that this movie has not been a financial absolute whirlwind. It landed in third place for the second consecutive weekend with $11.9 million. The Sony movie starring Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, two people that reportedly hate each other, has made $242.6 million to date globally. It only cost $25 million to produce. Let's say it cost another $25 million to market it. So at a $50 million hard cost.
Still 5 times the money.
And you're at $242.6 million. What is it about this movie that made it such a smash hit, John? What did Justin Baldoni see in this project when he bought up the rights that maybe we're just now figuring out are truly a draw in 2024?
Sounds like he saw something, a little of something, and then it became a big something, and he just happened to have had the rights, because that's part of the whole dispute with him.
That is part of the whole dispute.
Blake Lively. But like, my wife's been reading Colleen Hoover since I've known her, so I mean, she's, I guess, a big author. I don't really know, at least for younger females. But I mean, I don't know why this necessarily worked specifically, but I think why it worked as a movie is Deadpool, because you had everything that went into Deadpool. Blake Lively was there standing by Ryan Reynolds' side, and then let's flip it a few weeks later to then Ryan Reynolds directed part of this movie. That was very much part of the marketing, is that, hey, Ryan helped with this too, and Blake Lively was seen so much of Deadpool and was also in Deadpool for a hot second too, that then that some of that hype was carried here. Taylor Swift didn't promote this movie specifically, but very much promoted Deadpool. Very much promoted Blink Twice this past weekend too.
But her music was used in the marketing for this movie.
But the music is used in the movie, so there's still a lot of Taylor Swift effect, even though she directly didn't say, go see this movie necessarily. So there's a lot of different reasons leading to why this worked.
Do you remember the hot or cold question on whether or not this would make over $75 million domestically, or 70? I think it was $75 million.
75.
And at that time, it really was a question of whether or not it would sort of fall into some of the sort of same trends that we've seen other movies in a similar sort of female-focused genre film sort of fall in with its box office total. And this movie continues to churn. It has been in the top 3 now every week of its release.
And still maybe next week.
Almost was the number 1 movie. This will be probably the most successful movie this year to have never been number 1.
Probably. I'm trying to think what came out after Inside Out too. Probably.
Yeah. I really do think it's going to be.
I got to think about other stuff, but yeah, off the top of my head, probably.
Let's go to Blink Twice in the number 4 spot. I thought the marketing for this movie was abysmal. I really did. My wife really wants to see this movie, and I may take her, but probably not. We'll probably wait for streaming, because I just hate the marketing for this film so much. I feel like it gives so much away in the marketing. Now, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if it's total misdirect or whatever, but from what I've heard from a number of people, including conversations between you guys in the room today, is that it doesn't necessarily have a satisfying third act. And with a movie like this that does a lot of setup in the trailer, I feel like it needs to have a satisfying third act to have the word of mouth to have the legs to generate millions more dollars.
I won't say it doesn't have a satisfying third act. I'll say it doesn't have a satisfying last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a so.
Yeah, most of the third act is fine.
Once you get the twist of the movie, which there is very much a twist in the movie, that it plays out from that point and it's okay. But then there's a flash forward that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it does ultimately hurt it, I think. It's a here's the thing I'll say for Blink Twice, and I don't know if Tyler agrees with this, but Zoe Kravitz, this makes me think she can be a legit filmmaker.
I agree.
I don't walk out of this saying, oh, this is like an Oscar movie or anything. Far from that. But it's enough to say she's been good on camera. She's done a lot of big roles, both on TV and at the movies. But she can actually, she's more than just, a Nepo baby from her dad. She's more than just, an actress. She can legitimately write and
wrote it
movies.
as well.
Yeah, she wrote and directed this. And so she can actually write and direct movies. And she kind of, I guess, falls because there is a little get out to this as well.
Yeah.
She kind of falls like in a Jordan Peele class of like you see that first movie, it's like, okay, there's something here that it can go really well and take a step up like us, or it can then kind of go down like Nope. And I could see kind of a similar trajectory. I'm just kind of curious where she goes from here. And if she's, I don't know if she wants to do this more than act, or if this is just something, I think this is like a passion project she's been working on for a while.
Would the movie have benefited from her also starring in it? Do you think it would have generated more money?
It would have benefited from a bigger female cast. Because almost all of the guys in the cast pretty well, and almost none of the females really well. The only one I knew, and I can't even remember her name now, is the one that was in that Hitman movie with Glenn Powell. And the main girl is the one that played Whitney Houston, Naomi Ackie. But outside of that, most of the other people are kind of no names, and they're not really dispensable in the movie either. So I think if you had some bigger names there, whereas you had like Channing Tatum, Haley Joel Osment, Christian Slater, like those are some names on the other side of the aisle.
$7.3 million this weekend in its first weekend out, coming in the fourth spot. It reportedly cost $20 million to make this movie, so it's not a huge gamble, but it's going to need to at least make its production budget back at the box office domestically to be looked at as any sort of win for the future of Kravitz behind the lens. Let's go ahead and jump all the way down to number 8, because I'm going to tell you exactly what came ahead of The Crow in its opening weekend. Thank goodness, by the way. I hate The Crow. The Crow was beat out by Twisters, which is in its 9th weekend? 8th weekend? I don't know. How many?
It's been a while.
It was its 6th weekend.
Oh, sorry. 6th weekend. Okay. Twisters came in ahead of this. Coraline, in its 2nd weekend of re-release, came in ahead of this.
I meant to go see it.
Well, I don't know officially when it's going to be ending its run. Maybe they extended it because I think it was supposed to be a limited engagement, and it made so much money that they're like, hey, ain't no harm in putting this thing out there more. Coraline re-released for its 15th anniversary last week, and it brought in an additional $5.1 million this weekend. And then you have The Crow, the R-rated adaptation of the acclaimed graphic novel and a remake of the 1994 film of the same name, really in name only. It opened with just $4.6 million. This is from the same studio that brought you Borderlands.
Whoops.
Which had a $120 million budget and has made a total, I think, of a little north of $15 million altogether.
That is abysmal.
At least domestically.
Worldwide, it's a little over $24 million.
Oh, that's worse.
Wow.
That's even worse. Lionsgate's having a tough time. They had all these fake critic reviews for all these Francis Ford Coppola movies. That's been a part of the marketing for Megalopolis. Lionsgate is having the worst year of any studio, in my opinion. And it doesn't get any better when you look at The Crow and its ceiling, because I honestly think this is a movie that will not be in the top 10 after this upcoming weekend. Maybe I'm wrong, but no. I think it's going to fall like a lead balloon, even though nothing really is coming out this upcoming weekend.
Well, it only beat Despicable Me by 200,000, so that will pass it.
Yeah.
Inside Out was half of it at 2.1 million, but it still probably has a chance to pass it. This week is Afraid, the Blumhouse AI movie, which will at least make, 4 or 5 million, I would assume. So that'll pass it. There is something else that comes. Oh, Slingshot. I don't know what that Slingshot movie is going to do.
Casey,
yeah. No, I know what it is.
I didn't know what it is. My bad.
Shaun of the Dead's being re-released. That'll probably pass it.
Probably.
You Gotta Believe with Luke Wilson and Greg Kinnear. It's a baseball movie. Probably pass it.
I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
Coraline's at least playing through Wednesday, so that might pass it this weekend if they.
Every movie that's ahead of it right now will probably stay ahead of it.
Shit.
That's exactly what The Crow is, Tyler. I agree. It absolutely is. It is so bad, and I hate it. And I would watch that Greg Kinnear movie if he's a conjoined twin with Matt Damon during it more than I'd want to go see The Crow ever again in my existence.
A random reference.
That is a random reference, but that's where I'm at right now. What an awful movie The Crow is, and I can't stress enough how much this thing deserves to die a horrible death at the box office. It really is a horrendous, sloppy piece of filmmaking that I can't believe they made it as bad as they did. Because visually, once again, I think there's some things that work in this. But the story, I can't believe anybody said, yeah, this is the best I can do with this. This is the final edit of the film. There's got to be a better edit of the film. Got to be.
There has to be one where he's the Crow for more than like 20 minutes, right?
That's the one thing I've heard from this is that he's not even the Crow.
He's not even the Crow
for like the last little bit.
So in both the original and the graphic novel, it starts off with him becoming the Crow and seeing his wife or his girlfriend, fiance, whatever, die. But in this one, that happens like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie or something.
If you do a good job, you don't have to spend an hour long making me believe that a relationship is what it is. And it sounds like even after an hour, they don't really make you believe
that's
the
what I was going
relationship.
to say. They spent that long and you don't buy it one bit.
You can spend 10 minutes and accomplish that aspect of the movie and then move on to the actual movie.
I would love to hate watch this movie with a group of fellow Meltdonians that just want to sit down and hate watch it and go through multiple plot holes in the thing. But
I don't want to think about that movie ever again.
Well, let's quit thinking about it. It's time for another round of 10 with Tim, but first I'd like to provide some dutifully distinct dental details here. That's what I've got. 1 week ago, I visited the dental team that I trust most, located on Grants Mill Road, Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian. Over at Alabama Dental Associates, they'll take care of you with the professional care you'd expect. And they're extremely flexible with your schedule and those late office hours provided Monday through Thursday, along with hours of availability on Friday and Saturday. I had the time for work, dentistry, and poker all in the same day last week, and you will too. You constantly hear me talking about my favorite director, Christopher Nolan, here on the show. Well, my favorite Nolan dentist is Dr. Nolan, who's officially joined the team now. The Pensacola, Florida native graduated from the UAB School of Dentistry in the top 10% of his class, and he does so much to add to this community. You'll love the newest addition to the best dental team in town. Reach out and try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself. They are accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. It's now time to welcome in Meltdown contributor, fresh from the pond itself.
Yes.
That is E.G., who is here with us in studio.
Isn't it across the pond?
Yeah. If she was
England's
from the pond,
I thought you were referring to
just got out of the ocean.
She traveled by boat, guys. Okay, we should get our facts right here. Thank you very much.
Yes.
How are you doing, E.G.?
I'm great. I'm excellent. I just breezed my way in. Thank you for being patient upon my arrival. I'm not coming from across the pond today. I got back last Wednesday.
Right.
Coming in from Tuscaloosa.
It's an illusion, E.G. Okay,
I
let's get
apologize. Just want to
into
get my facts straight.
10 with Tim, and then we have some Taylor Swift news to get to. But I've got 10 questions. We've got about 10 minutes. Let's see how this goes. You ready? Question number 1. E.G., if you were to play in a band, what instrument would you play?
Drums.
Wow, that was quick. You've thought about this.
You just want to be a drummer.
You've thought about going on stage, taking the drumsticks from the drummer that's on stage, and then playing the rest of the set. I can tell. Tyler, what instrument would you play with a band? You must answer.
I don't know. I'd probably go drums, just because you're all the way in the back.
I feel like you're a fiddle player and you don't know it. I feel like you could play a mean-ass fiddle.
Dude, I'll challenge the devil to a contest right now.
Okay.
Well, we lost Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I get a fiddle made of gold.
I mean, let's be honest here. Losing your soul to the devil in a fiddle contest, still a better option than watching The Crow from 2024. They're about the same storyline there, but that movie's got
What if you do that and then The Crow brings you back?
It's possible. It's possible. John, if you were to play in a band, what instrument would you play? And I bet it's guitar.
Guitar.
Okay, there we go. Question number 2.
Or bass.
John, name a birthday gift that you
Slap at a
received.
bass.
Name a birthday gift that you received that's always appreciated here whenever you make a slap in the bass reference. From Best Man, what is it called? Paul Rudd and Slap in the Bass. Isn't that what it is? Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, it's Paul Rudd. I thought it was
called Best
40-year-old
Man?
Virgin though.
No, it wasn't 40-year-old Virgin. What's it? 40-year-old
I don't know why
Virgin?
I thought it was that.
I thought it was the one. No, it was the one with him and.
I Love You Man.
It was I Love You Man. That's what it was. Okay, neither one of us was right. I was kind of right. Name a birthday gift, John, that you received that was somewhat disappointing. You know there's one. Maybe it was some aunt that got you a pair of socks you hated.
Oh, I have mine.
Oh, okay.
Did your parents get you socks, E.G.?
All right.
I got to think about it.
E.G., tell us about your aunt.
You know those those art books that have like the geometry where you have the little spiral thingies, and I hate those, and I got that for like 2 years in a row.
Oh, 2 years in a row. That's tough.
Yeah, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think that's more. That's more probably, a female gift. I don't think guys give those gifts to each
But
other.
are you like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I
What
think
is it?
I do.
It's like
It's like a workbook.
yeah, but it's
Origami.
No.
Educational coloring book.
Kind of, but no. It's you're supposed to be able to make all these like cool shapes that are repetitive through these little cogs that you put your pin in, but you're not doing anything. You're just
spinning it around.
spinning it around,
Yeah,
and
I
it makes
know what you're
these.
talking about. Yeah.
I feel like I understand it less now.
Tyler.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
What's a
All right.
birthday gift you got that stunk?
Most of them have been pretty good. Oh, one year, my parents thought I was like out of cologne, so they got me some cologne, but I had already gone to the store and gotten a replacement bottle. But
Spirograph.
Yes.
No one's going to acknowledge Tyler's cologne story. That was a badass story.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Tyler, that you're not.
it is what it is.
You're not getting the respect you deserve. I guess it was a bad gift because it led to zero reaction. John.
Wish you had the cologne from Blink Twice instead. I don't know. I don't
Nothing?
really get a lot of birthday gifts. I mean, that's not like a huge gift giving thing necessarily. It's like one or two things, and it's always things I very much want. So I don't know. It's hard for me to come up with one.
Okay. It's disappointing. To be honest, that's disappointing. I think that's the first time you've ever tapped out on a Dim and 10 question.
I don't know.
Next question. What cereal mascot, Tyler, do you trust the least?
Do I trust the
you give the
least?
list?
So you're walking down a back alley at night and you're seeing a cereal mascot going, "Hey, Tyler, I've got something for you."
No, God.
Which one are you going like, "Oh, absolutely not. I'm not walking down that alley."
Okay. So which is the most threatening? Okay.
I would say that leads to trust, being
Well, I mean, Tony the Tiger could be trustworthy. I don't want to see him in a back alley, though.
that's also true.
I feel like that Trix Rabbit.
Yeah.
He's unpredictable, and then you also got the Cocoa Puffs bird.
Okay.
He's out there too.
Let's stick with the
He's
Trix
cuckoo.
Rabbit for a second, okay? I never fail to hit play on Liam Neeson buying Trix and Ted. Do you know that? You know what I'm talking about, that
Oh,
scene?
it's so good.
Very
It's
funny.
such a good scene.
I think it's one of the funniest scenes in the history of cinema. Like, legitimately
It's up there.
hilarious. Because they make Ted play it completely straight. And it's so funny that he's playing the role of what I would assume is if Tyler was in that same role, that's exactly how he would play Liam Neeson buying Trix. And it makes me laugh. Okay, E.G.
Probably the leprechaun.
That was gonna be mine. Lucky the Leprechaun.
Okay. I'm glad it's short people you don't trust.
Thanks.
John?
The Trix Rabbit is also short.
So you're going with the Trix Rabbit as well?
No, I was Lucky the Leprechaun.
Oh, so you are going with the Leprechaun. Got it.
That's what I was gonna say. So I said that's what I was gonna say. Therefore, that is my.
If
answer.
this was a game where I awarded points, John would have the least amount of points.
It's around the horn, you'd just be hitting me backwards the whole time.
John, do you like the movie 300? I'm going to guess you've never seen it.
I have seen it and I do enjoy it.
Oh,
It's one of the things, it's one of the few things when Zack Snyder's attached to something. It's like,
hold on.
okay.
What?
I actually saw it first on the bus going to a game in Birmingham Southern.
So Mr. Anti-Violence,
It's very violent.
Mr. Anti-Violence in movies loves 300 because it got you amped up for a football game. So you do have...
It is very violent, but the thing is, even watching the Rebel Moon director's cut, which I made about halfway through the first one and I had to stop because it's so over the top violent for no reason whatsoever. Because the original movies are PG-13, and so he's like, "Well, I'm going to make it as hard R possible." It's so stupid, but it looks incredible.
Yeah.
And the same in 300, I feel like for me at least was the first one of those. I don't know if that came before or after Watchmen.
Before.
So I assume that was the first one for pretty much everybody to really see his
300 was
visuals at work.
revolutionary.
So
And studios loved it because they could, we can just throw up a bunch of blue screens and it looked like this? Great.
and everything he has done since then with that style has looked incredible. Just there's not much else there.
All right, next. This is a hot take, by the way, on 300.
Wait,
I'm not skipping y'all. I've got to
that
say
Jarvis
this. I
in
got to
there?
say this
Yeah,
thought.
you
I
said
got to say
next.
this.
I was like,
Well,
okay.
I started thinking, do I want to say this thought? Because it's very controversial.
All right, say it.
I think Gerard Butler in 300 gives a better performance than Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
I don't disagree with it.
And a lot of people will hate me for that.
That's not
don't care.
clowning on Russell Crowe's performance in
It's
Gladiator.
not.
But I don't necessarily disagree with
But
that.
the way Russell Crowe's Gladiator performance gets championed as being this all-time great thing, I really do feel that way about the lead performance in 300. Sue me.
I don't disagree with that. People in the chat agree with you too.
Really?
Jace, that's not crazy. Charles, I'd agree with that.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I
Okay.
need to go back and watch 300.
Well, if you can get Gerard Butler currently out of your mind, and really, after seeing Russell Crowe recently, Russell Crowe out of your mind with a lot of mailed-in performances, I'll take Gerard Butler's performance in 300 over the one that I think Russell Crowe won the Oscar for his performance in Gladiator. Okay, Tyler, do you like the movie 300?
No.
Okay. E.G., do you like the movie 300?
Never seen it.
Okay, let me ask this question. How was the popcorn during the movie 300?
I had popcorn today. Made it last night.
Okay.
I took it in the car with me.
Next question. E.G., what are the air conditioning controls in your vehicle usually set to?
It depends. Low or high?
So you go either polar opposite one way or the other.
Low or high. And usually, sometimes I'll do a low on the air conditioning, but I'll do a seat warmer moment.
Ooh.
Yeah. I get cold very easily.
So when was the last month you ran the heat?
Oh, December?
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, no. Oh,
December.
in my apartment? No, I guess it had to be like, it was
No,
really
in
cold.
your car, in your car.
Oh, in my car?
Yeah.
Probably May.
Okay.
Particularly cold morning, just a little warmth.
Gotcha. So you're one way or the other there.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm trying to track all this. This isn't a interrogation by any means, but I am trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Tyler, what are the climate control settings in your car typically like?
So I'll have like the as far as like the hot and cold, I'll have it on max AC, and usually like the fan on 1 or 2.
I do feel like a police officer asking questions because y'all seem very intimidated by this question, and it's not meant to shame anyone.
No, it's just.
Well, normally it's like I gotta come up with a good answer
No.
real quick, or is he gonna go to me first for
you're-
this one?
You're good. You're good. Don't sweat over this. Blow some air on yourself there. But I typically go with the windows down to start,
Oh.
blow the hot air out,
Interesting.
and then roll the windows up
cool air.
and swap. You know that little C that nobody knows what it does in
Yeah.
the car that's there?
Yeah, it
that
circulates.
the air from inside of the cab. And then next thing you know, you're in perfect climate controlled sort of weather. I take it very seriously. John, do you take your climate control seriously in your vehicle?
Not really.
Okay.
I keep it all the way low, which is 60 in my car when it's in the summer. However, right now I have it on 68 because I'm getting over a fever. Therefore, I was a little chilly, so I kept it warm.
Oh, poor little Johnny was chilly. Okay.
Okay.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I
Gosh,
do like
I'm so
sitting
sorry.
in a warm car though. Like
I do too.
when you like get in, it's
Yeah.
like warm and like kind of hot. Oh,
No. No.
Like Tuesday, I left here and I was already getting sick. And so
It's
I
cold.
got in my car, turned the air conditioner off.
Yeah.
And drove home
I've done
with
that.
the heat the whole way.
In my next vehicle, the thing I want most are cooling seats.
oh, those are incredible.
Because I have not experienced that. I've only experienced warming seats and seats that are already warm when you get in. Because I have to have leather seats in my car. That's like
Yeah.
a must. For
I
me.
have cooling seats, but I wish I had a cooling steering wheel.
That was
Because that
nice.
steering wheel
Yeah.
is
That
hot as-
exists.
That
I
exists,
don't.
Tyler.
I mean,
What?
not for us, Tyler. But on the steering wheel is like on fire.
How the
when
other
you get in
half
the car.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. Ryan Brown has that in his car, but like the steering wheel's on fire when you
Man,
touch
he
it
doesn't have
after.
to look at electric lines, like power lines,
know,
or
right?
have to deal with hot hands on the steering wheel. That's a life.
If we can just get air conditioning in the studio, that'll be a step up.
No, it was freezing last week up here.
It was.
It
freezing.
was.
Freezing.
I had to hear about it.
I eventually realized I was sick, but I was not the only person.
We're only halfway through. Question number 6. How often do you find yourself, e.g., touring the Cracker Barrel gift shop?
Oh, every time I go in.
So you're the person that buys all the Cracker Barrel
Yeah,
stuff.
I bought my niece an outfit from there recently.
An outfit from
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel?
No, they have excellent clothes. And like gifting, you can't get better than Cracker Barrel.
I was there
And-
over the weekend, and someone bought over $100 worth of clothes at the gift shop.
My brother's-
and was like a rewards member or something.
Oh wow! My brother's birthday got him Chris Stapleton vinyl from Cracker Barrel.
Well, that's awesome. I have looked at their vinyl collection.
Yeah.
They have a great collection, but it's all overpriced, in my opinion.
Oh, well.
So I don't think you got the best
It was
deal.
like $35.
Yeah, that's not a good deal.
Yeah, it's-
Oh.
no.
Not a
Well,
good deal.
I like Cracker Barrel, and I got the I got the outfit and the vinyl
Yeah.
right next to each other.
Yeah.
Called it a day.
What I will do is I will go look at the vinyl section and see what they have, and then find it for probably about $20 cheaper somewhere else.
You can get the vinyl for $15.
It depends on what it is. I mean, but you can find something that's used for sure for $15. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily talking about a gift. I would recommend Target or Walmart more than Cracker Barrel when it comes to buying new,
But
vinyl that doesn't have soul to it.
yeah, but then what happens one day when no one's going to the Cracker Barrel gift shop and it's out of business?
That's true. Good. You're always thinking ahead.
I am. Thank you.
They save so much money on, their pancakes being at the rate that they are, that they got to make the money somewhere, and you're in there buying up all the vinyl. Tyler, how often do you find yourself buying things in the Cracker Barrel gift shop?
Buying things, pretty much never. Looking every time. I'll look at the vinyl, like you said, and then I'll go, haha, they want $35 for this record? No,
And
thank you.
EG's like, move out of my way. I'm
Yeah,
buying this.
he's like, oh, what a steal. I'll grab that. I'll grab 4. But I'll look at those, and I'll look at like the sort of vintage, old style sodas, and think I might get one today. And then
you
I
don't.
just don't want to pay like $3 or $4 or whatever for a single soda.
Here's what I hate about the Cracker Barrel gift shop. If it's after a meal and I'm perusing through, it's generally an okay time. If I'm stuck in that place waiting for a table to open up or something,
Oh, yeah.
I almost am like, I'm not buying a thing. I'm going to show them, and then I am glancing and being like, oh, that is a kind of
Pretty
neat,
cool.
the neat bar of soap. John, how often do you find yourself perusing the Cracker Barrel gift shop?
I don't care. However, I find myself perusing it with my wife all the time. Need I remind you of the farting skeleton that she found and would not stop sending to me?
But you didn't buy it.
She has bought a lot of things, so I have not bought it. Like I said, I don't care. However, thanks to my wife, I will find myself there more than I want.
How many farting skeletons did you end up with?
No comment.
Okay.
I think we have 2.
Yeah,
Next
you
question.
should have gotten more.
Yeah.
Speaking of farting skeletons, John, have you ever encountered a skunk?
I have seen skunks, but I don't know if I've ever encountered a skunk.
Like out in the wild?
Yeah.
Tyler, have you ever encountered a skunk out in the wild?
No.
I mean, this is something that if you live your life based on cartoon logic, you should encounter a skunk at least once a week.
Yeah.
E.g., how often have you encountered a skunk?
Not in the wild.
Never?
Never.
So no one's ever been skunk bit
Nope.
or
Sprayed or anything?
sprayed or
No,
anything?
thank goodness.
Nothing?
No. TV had me worried about skunks and quicksand, and I've never seen either in my
That
life.
is both of those very true.
Yeah. Banana peels, too.
Banana peels.
Next question.
The
E.G.
real story behind that's wild.
Go ahead, give me the story.
You tell.
Oh, okay.
You can't
So-
say that
Wait,
and then
the
we
story
move
behind
on.
what?
But people slipping on banana peels, why that became a thing.
Why?
So
John's already uninterested.
in like the 20s, bananas were a very popular snack in New York City. Construction workers would eat them because they'd be like a nickel a piece or whatever, and they'd scarf down bananas and just toss the peel. And it got to a point where there's so many people littering banana peels that the mayor had to make a statement. It's like, quit leaving your banana peels everywhere, you savages, or else we're going to start fining you and locking you up for this.
Wow.
Nothing changed until a newspaper ran a fake story about a lady in Chicago who slipped on a banana peel, broke her neck, and died.
Wow.
After that, no more banana peels, except in cartoons and Mario Kart.
This sounds like a Melissa McCarthy movie if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Like a serious one. You know, where it's like she's going to take on her dramatic role. She's going to be the Chicago lady that writes the story about this. My gosh. You just have that general knowledge in your back pocket, or like, what? I don't even want to know. Don't even answer the question. Next topic here, number 8 of 10. E.g., would you rather hang out on the town with Morgan Wallen or Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Wallen.
No contest? Are you worried about your general well-being?
Yes.
Okay. John, would you rather hang out on the town with
The
Morgan
chair that went over the top that time.
Morgan Wallen or Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman, not even close.
Not even a contest.
Not even a contest.
I just want to talk to more, like, he's friends with Post Malone, so Post Malone might show up. Megan Maroney. There's a whole thing there.
I don't think you're selling it for John. I don't think he cares about hanging out with any of these people.
Post Malone maybe, but
Yeah,
What are you
cool.
going to do with Morgan Freeman is my
Like,
question.
go get tea?
listen to Morgan Freeman talk. Tell me stories of old.
Well, I
with that
mean, the
voice.
question wasn't who do you want to tell you a bedtime story.
We're
If
hanging
that's
out.
the question,
We're
Morgan
hanging
Freeman
out.
wins hands
Wallen,
down. I
hear
agree.
you
but-
out on the town?
Are you not going to talk to Morgan Wallen the whole time you're out with him?
In between like the Nashville like sets of like artists singing and
I'll go to Hollywood with Morgan Freeman and
just sit.
talk to all the people that he knows because he knows everybody in Hollywood. And
They should make a a Hangover 4 where Morgan Wallen is like the guy that plays Mr. Chow and they're set in Nashville. And it would be perfect.
funny.
I think it would be really good. Have Morgan Freeman in the movie. Could
Why
work.
not?
He gets locked in a trunk, hops out, throws a chair.
Correct. Exactly.
There you go.
Tyler, you get to break the tie here between John and EG. Are you hanging out on the town with Morgan Wallen or Morgan Freeman?
I mean, if you're wanting to go out on the town,
Yeah.
you know, hitting
Still
the
go
bars and
Morgan
stuff,
Freeman.
you go Morgan Wallen. But if I just want to hear someone narrate things and just narrate my life, I'm going Morgan Freeman.
yeah, but imagine the exclusive Hollywood elite places Morgan Freeman could get you into.
That sounds scary.
It's agreed.
Sounds awesome.
I think Morgan Freeman has a place in South Alabama, right?
Sure.
Like the Gulf
Orange
Shores
Beach?
area, Orange Beach area, Mobile. I don't know, somewhere around there. I feel like there's some story of him having.
He
him
must
living
have a
down
place
there.
near here because he's always on the intercom at Birmingham Airport.
That's an impersonator, Tyler. I hate to break your dreams there. But.
the,
all right.
the guy was in a play my mom did not too long ago, by the way. The guy that does
Oh,
that,
really?
The guy that does that voice.
He
By the way,
knows he sounds like Morgan Freeman in that, right? Like he's
that's
intentionally.
that's the whole point.
I
yeah.
get it, but Morgan Freeman should sue that guy.
He's just talking in his voice. He never said, I'm Morgan Freeman and you're at the Birmingham airport.
So that's actually an impersonator. They didn't just pay Morgan Freeman
No,
to.
it's not
No,
Morgan Freeman.
you
I don't
didn't
think
realize that wasn't actually Morgan
No,
Freeman?
I thought
No.
they had just paid Morgan Freeman to like record some lines for the airport.
Hello, Birmingham.
By the way, in the chat, James, Morgan Freeman, Charles, Morgan Freeman, Goose, Morgan Freeman. He can narrate things we do. Morgan Wallen would just get drunk and probably end up in jail. Smuff, Freeman. Wallen's a word I'm not going to say. Jace, Morgan Freeman would have fun stories. Morgan Wallen may not even show up to the hangout. And then
True.
James with a super chat. Speaking of Post Malone, his song Losers with Jelly Roll is really, really good.
I agree, and I actually listened to that song coming in today. Post Malone now has the #1 album.
It's so good.
Taylor Swift has moved down to #3, and then Chapel Roan, is that her name?
That is her name.
She's #2 with her album.
Where's
So
Miss Sabrina Carpenter and all of that?
I don't know where
Yeah,
Sabrina
I'm surprised she's
Carpenter
not
is.
second.
No,
Because Chapel's album is from a year ago.
that's
Talk about TikTok.
here's the
blowing
information. Here's the information that I have.
up. Wait, have y'all talked about her statement that was it Chappelle or Chapel?
Chapel.
Chapel made
I
about
always want to say Chappelle.
the fans.
No.
Did y'all see that? I'll pull it up while you're pulling that up.
Post Malone's country debut, F1 Trillion, is the #1 album in the United States. Chapel Rowan's The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess continues for a second week at #2, while Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets is at #3 now. So,
She essentially fans. Hold on.
okay. I'm going to go to question 9 while y'all Google things. Tyler, are you a fan of garlic?
Yeah, I like garlic.
Okay. Sounds like he likes it, doesn't love it. E.G., are you a fan of garlic?
Oh, I love garlic.
Love garlic.
I love garlic as well.
Also love garlic. So, just love garlic with Morgan Freeman. She loves garlic with Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Last question. What time of the day, John, would you say you're the most irritable?
Anytime after I wake up before like 3 p.m.
Oh, thank God it's 3:13, so we're good now. Woo! You made it.
Let's make it like 4. Then.
Okay. Never mind. Tyler, what time of day would you say you're the most irritable?
Probably late afternoon, like 3:30 to 4-ish. Or
So
like,
that would be the worst time to hang out with both of you at the same time. So you've gone to 4 and you're at 3:30 to 4, somewhere around
yeah,
there.
it's like I'm weirdly energized in the morning, and then I'm kind of dead for a few hours, and then I bring it back up towards the evening.
Got it.
If it's
I
got
don't
an AM
understand
next
it.
to the hour, really and truly, I'm probably irritable.
Okay. What are you, E.G., what time of day would you say you're the most irritable?
Probably 3 to 5. Usually hungry by that point.
It's 3:14. I'm really in y'all's hot zone here for irritability.
Yeah.
So we need to go ahead and get this thing going.
Okay.
One way to be less irritable about all of your dietary choices in life, John, is to go to our friends at Way to Wellness.
Yeah, go visit aplanforme.com. You too can get a plan that'll work for you, just like I have a plan that works for me, and Tim has a plan that works for him. Jim Dunaway has a plan that works for him. My dad even has a plan that works for him as well. Visit Leslie, there she is in the background. Visit her and her whole board-certified team as you see them helping us out, dropping the pounds with our friends at Way to Wellness. Go to aplanforme.com, learn more, and get that consultation.
James, once again, thank you so much for that super chat. I was actually going to do a Lunce's List. I was going to get John to tell me the 5 best songs on that new album of
Hadn't
Post
listened to
Malone.
one of them.
But I knew that he wouldn't have any answers for that, so we decided not to go that route.
I like Post Malone. Some of his music's pretty good, but like when he said, I'm doing a country album.
Let me tell you, if you're a girl dad, the song Yours just will destroy you. Don't listen to it. Don't watch The Crow, don't listen to Yours, because The Crow is really bad and Yours is fantastic, and you'll hear it at some wedding down the road anyway, so just be prepared for that. Do you have a favorite Post Malone song, E.G.?
Bless you.
Thank you.
That's my job.
That was a Lunsford sneeze there.
That was.
Of all time or just on this album?
No, of this album.
Nosedive, Lainey Wilson.
Oh, I
and
love that song.
don't like Lainey. Like, I am very open about that. Like, she's adorable, but her voice, I just, something about it. Like, the truck song, not my favorite. But that song, incredible. I'm now on the Lainey Wilson train.
I really like the song as well, Nosedive. So Post Malone's got a bunch of good ones on there. Mexico's really fun.
Yeah, I like that one.
I mean,
The one with Jelly Roll is great.
yes, it is. I feel like there's a lot of good ones. I'm looking forward to potentially seeing him live and in person sometime very soon. All right, you got a chance to see Taylor Swift live and in person.
I did.
And this has been a saga for those that have been following along. I mean, like, since we started the Meltdown, it has been a saga.
For sure.
You've wanted to see the Eras Tour. I told you could just get a Disney Plus subscription. You'd be able to catch it right there.
I
You
was offended.
You said, that's not good enough. Shut up. I think that's literally what
Yeah.
you told me. You went, and I'm just rehashing the story, catching people up.
Yes,
I'm
for
not
sure.
trying
for sure.
to bring
no,
up
no,
old
no,
trauma.
No, it's a perfect bow now, so you can bring it up at all.
Good. E.G. ended up on Facebook
Yes.
connecting with someone who wasn't really being transparent about who they were or what they were trying to accomplish, that looked to sell E.G. some tickets to see Taylor Swift in Miami.
Yes.
You used Venmo
Yep.
with this person that, once again, you thought you had done your due diligence to be able to vet and make
Yes.
sure that they are authentic. They were verified by a friend of yours
Yep.
and all this stuff. You thought ahead, and it still burned you because you sent over, you've already said this, $2,000
$2,000.
via Venmo that left your life, flew away, and you never got any tickets in return. You got
Nope.
ghosted.
Nope.
And you hope that person finds a nail in their tire at some point.
Oh, much worse than
Okay,
that.
we're going to leave it at that, though, just because
Much worse than that.
we don't want the Kremlin getting angry at you. So
Yeah, it's hard.
that is where we were with EG for a long time. And then it got announced that Taylor Swift's going to be wrapping up the Eras Tour at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Like, after this year, it's done.
Over.
Now, is that just another one of these publicity stunts? Are we really
I mean,
going to
it's
see
only
the-
been 2 years.
I know.
Right.
I'm with you. I agree. But there's going to be some people going, how do you possibly shut down this money-making machine? Because, I mean, she continues to sell out everywhere she goes. But EG said, if I'm going to strike, I need to strike now. And she started looking at some international dates.
I did.
There were a couple of different places where you were looking.
Yeah, it went everywhere from Germany to Amsterdam to Warsaw, Poland, and ended up in London.
Ended up in London. So, you know, we even saw some dates that were canceled due to terrorist threats. And
Right.
it's been a real storyline here of getting you to London to see Taylor Swift. But you did it last week. For those that joined us during Tyler's Lobster Adventure at the end of last week, they were able to confirm that you did, in fact, make it. Tell me about the experience and whether or not it was worth the investment and the travel and the headache and the heartbreak that you experienced along the way.
For sure. Okay, so I also need to preface this. I don't know if you guys know this. I actually had tickets to her in Atlanta 2 years ago. In my hand, my dad called me while I was getting my nails done and said, hey, do you want to go see Taylor Swift? I said, yes, of course. Long story short, I had prior commitments with work. It was my last series doing baseball sideline reporting, so I did not go. And I had regretted that. So that kind of was what the
was a good show.
foundation. Yeah, you were there. But nice. That was the foundation of it all.
It doesn't sting as much now that you've actually seen her.
Yeah, that's why I don't feel bad.
Right. So then the other ticket, like,
John's thinking to himself, you should have picked Morgan Freeman. I got you good on that one. Go ahead.
been a long time coming, and I decided to do international because, as y'all know, the ticket resale in the States is insane. For nosebleeds, you're looking at $3,000 a pop right now for Miami, for where's else is she?
New Orleans.
New Orleans and Indianapolis, maybe. And so I saw a girl post that she was in my sorority, that she had just gone to the first leg of London, and I was so curious. And this was in the midst of trying to figure out how I was going to get over there and looking at other places. And I know her. I texted her personal number, so she could not have been hacked. And I said, hey, so curious how you guys did it. Like, how, like, hotel, airfare, how'd you get the tickets? And she said, you know, I actually waited in line for these last summer for like 8 hours, but I wish I would have known you were looking because I had 2 extras to her next show in London. And I said, well, let me know if anything falls through. And when you're dealing with Ticketmaster, this is a helpful hint if you guys ever don't want to get scammed. You cannot transfer tickets on Ticketmaster until I think it's like 72 hours prior to the concert. So if you're ever buying tickets and they say they can transfer them, they cannot transfer them until it's the week of.
That's a good detail.
It is a good detail. And what that means, though, is that if you pay for tickets, you know, 2 months in advance, you don't actually see those tickets. So you have to be careful with that, too, because they can say, hey, I'll transfer them that date, and they never do, and you're still out of money. So
there's a chance that you end up getting tickets to the Miami show, and they're like, sorry for the delay.
Yeah. Here's
the $2,000 tickets that you purchased. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think so. That'd be incredible.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, it would be. Except they sent the generic, like, thank you for your order. And I looked it up. I was like, I think like the local Chinese restaurant. This is like the confirmation you get when you place an Uber Eats. Anyways, so she messages her friend, and that's critical because her tickets were still in her possession. She had not sent them off into the void of the girl that said she wanted them. She messaged me back a couple hours later. She's like, hey, I asked the girl, it fell through. They can't get airfare. If you want them, I'll give them to you what I paid face value for. So I will let you guys know what I paid. I paid $120 for floor seats because that's face value. So when you talk about the investment for this, it was very low cost. So that's tickets,
really good.
$120, and you guys have seen where
those were amazing
seats, $120. So then, okay, how are we gonna get over there? And luckily, I was able to fly standby, which was a blessing and a curse. And so I did not pay for airfare as well because I paid taxes on it. But obviously, when you're looking at flights over there, it's $2,000 easily just to get there and back. Hotel, all points. So like basically it was food that we were paying for.
Crumpets and tea and fish and chips.
Tea. Yeah, exactly. The whole 9 yards. And Guinness as well. Tried that. It was gross. Had one sip. But we leave on Friday, and there were flights out from Atlanta to London. And long story short, we didn't get on any of those flights. So, like, I'm sitting in the Atlanta airport from 2 o'clock Friday until about midnight. And it's like, are we seriously going to get to this point? And I have the tickets. I have everything, and I can't get over there? Like, seriously?
Which is why you swim in the pond.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So then Saturday comes around, and the flight loads are looking terrible, just not good. And so we only list for 2 flights. So we get there around 7. We don't do the whole day-long thing. And we almost didn't list for this flight because it seemed like a long shot. It was a 9:55. And at the last second, I was like, let's just do it. We're already going to be there late. Might as well. And so due to a failed like connecting flight with all these Swifties on it, we literally snuck onto this flight. We were the last people to board. The little gate agent goes, go. And so we like run on there because they had to close the flight out. But
it's a good impersonation of running.
We're literally like on the concourse trying to sprint into this flight. And they like shut the gate. It was incredible.
Looks like a scene from the Goonies.
It was. So then we get there and we like hit the ground running, did Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Tower of London. I'm missing one.
The Eye?
Yeah, the London Eye. I think one more. Oh, like Trafalgar Square, all of that. And I was there actually last summer on my graduation trip. And so it was fun because I felt like I kind of knew my way around. Oh, Buckingham Palace, of course. And so there were so many Americans there. It was like only us, basically. Ton of Swifties everywhere.
A lot of Jaguars fans.
No, actually, well, I guess that was last year, wasn't it?
It's every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
There were so many FSU Georgia Tech fans everywhere. They were kicking off there. I know, poor Georgia.
Half of them would be going home happy.
Yes, yeah. Our whole gate on leaving Atlanta was all Tech fans, and so then that was all day Sunday. We actually had to go into St. Margaret's Chapel, and got to do like a little communion service there, which was really cool because I had done a service in Westminster Abbey when I was there the last time, but we didn't get there in time for that. So we had to do that. Had macaroons, and that was so cool at this cute little place. And then, saw the Harry Potter Cursed Child, that whole setup, incredible. Went to all the little Harry Potter shops.
Or as Spud calls it, blasphemy in person.
There we go. So then Monday, big concert day. So excited. That was when I started to feel like the most tired. And we did Buckingham Palace that day, saw the changing the guards, and went back. So we were only staying 3.2 miles away from Wembley. Now, when I booked the hotel, I thought we were like 35, 40 minutes because you mentioned the terroristic element of all of this. We didn't want to stay near the stadium in case something happened, yada, yada, yada. That's just how bad the roads are over there. There's nothing direct. Like, you have to go around your elbow to get to your nose, basically. It took us an hour to get there. An hour in this Uber. He told us that he was late to pick up his wife because of us. And I was like, well, I mean, you took the ride. Like, I can't help you on that one. Arrived. It was super easy to get into. We did see the Jaguar stuff all over the concourse and stuff of Wembley. Walked right in. We took no bags in. And when I tell y'all, I have never seen so many people like in one place. It was incredible. There was not an empty seat of 92,000 people. Our opener was Paramore, and then a girl named, I don't remember her name, so she didn't really stand out. But Paramore was great, and then Miss Taylor performed for 3 hours and 45 minutes straight. It was insane. I needed a break from watching her. Like, we stood the whole time. We had great seats. The people around us were so fun. Great food and, like, drinks there, too, which was a pleasant surprise. And she sang Long Live as a surprise song. And Change, along with You're on Your Own, Kid, and The Archer.
We knew she sang Long Live because Dunaway at the poker table was proclaiming that you had sent a text message saying that
yes, I did,
she was doing his tattoo song.
Yeah, his tattoo song. And Taylor Lautner was there with his wife. That was cool. And it was incredible. I think my favorite part was like the first half of it. Lunsford, I'm curious what y'all's favorite part was. I guess I basically have a whole different show than what you guys saw, which is crazy.
Yeah. Which is why my wife is getting tickets to New Orleans and spending Lord knows what to get tickets to go to New Orleans.
It's a completely different show.
It's going to really hurt the farting skeleton fund.
Yeah. But it was great. And then the process of getting out of Wembley, I sent y'all a video. Like, wow. It took us, honestly, not as long as we thought, but the whole walkway to the train was just mass amount of people. Got back, then the task of getting back to Atlanta was at hand.
So we're going to speed this up because this could be a
Days.
20-minute conversation. Yeah. But you spent days in the airport system of Amsterdam?
London
and Amsterdam.
London and Amsterdam. Long story short, no one was helpful at all in the London Heathrow Airport. So if you ever have a question, just rely on yourself. Got the last flight from Heathrow to Amsterdam. Stayed in the Amsterdam airport for like 5.5, 6 hours. Got on the first flight out at 7:55, Atlanta to Amsterdam, and lived to tell the tale. So, only delayed a day.
I like Heathrow Airport.
All to see Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, it's been like 10 years since I went through it, but
It's yellow and brown and just gross.
Was there one song that stood out the most for you from the Taylor Swift concert?
Probably You Belong With Me, because that was like such
an anthem.
Yeah. I wish she had more debut in there because that was like what I grew up on, but definitely like that whole era. And then Style 1989. So good.
All right.
So good.
John,
she's incredible.
You and Laurel obviously having experienced the Eras Tour. Laurel did a Laurel's list of the best eras that Taylor Swift is responsible for. And so that is up for the discussion point there. But Tyler, I don't think you'll be spending any money or getting scammed at all on Taylor Swift tickets anytime soon.
No, if you had given me those for free,
okay.
I'd stay for Paramore and leave.
Oh, wow.
Well, that would have been a big mistake. You should have just resold them.
At that point, you might as well just sell them.
I mean,
you can go to many Paramore concerts in the future.
I feel like, and I'm curious what y'all's opinion is on this. I feel like this is our generation's Elvis, of the sense of like Michael Jackson, of these. Now, again, the internet didn't exist back then, so they were a different level of fame. But when it comes to a tour that people will talk about, it's going to be this one. And I'm very glad to say that I saw it in Wembley.
John, you know this. There's a lot of people that get very defensive over when people make comments like that about comparing this act compared to the Beatles or Elvis or Michael Jackson, or, you know, even somebody like I don't know, Garth Brooks, even with him being at the height that he was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, I asked the question. I was feeling on the next round. This was right at the beginning of the tour, so this would have been early last year. I asked the question, ultimately better career, or ultimately seen better as a better career, the Beatles or Taylor Swift, and I got laughed out of the studio.
Yep.
And then probably a year later, they asked the exact same question, and I'm like, see, y'all laughed at me because it was right when the Eras Tour was starting.
Right.
And now that it's all happened, and she is by far the biggest person on the planet and has that status with people, then like Lance, because whoever asked the question, I think Lance asked the question. Lance was the one that was out when I sat in or whatever. And they laughed me out, and everybody in the chat was like, "You're an idiot. I can't believe you even remotely think they're even on the same wavelength." And I stand firm to it now that I know what the Beatles were. Taylor Swift is getting there. And is only 35 and still has a long way to go.
Exactly.
I think she's already almost there.
It's at this point, if you don't acknowledge her success, stardom, influence, it's like you're just being stubborn for no reason. You don't have to agree with it. I mean, you don't have to, feel that way towards her. You don't have to
pay $5,000 ticket to go see her.
No, but at this point, you have to acknowledge that this is the biggest tour. It's broken every
it's
record.
not even remotely close.
Yeah.
She just got done with her first U.S. swing, and it already had beaten Elton John's latest tour, which was number one.
Yeah.
Because it was like $880 million, something like that, and she was already over $1 billion. That was before she started her international tour. Lord knows what that made since then. And then she has another North American tour coming up where she's doing Miami, New Orleans, Indianapolis, Toronto, Vancouver.
Yeah.
I want to say there's maybe another Canadian city somewhere in there, but she has like another tour that she still has to finish after that. So...
E.G., I hope you can stick around for a few more minutes because we have a Luntz's list
I'm
here.
here till 4:30 when we leave.
Okay, well, we'll be done way before then. But we have a Luntz's list that I want you to weigh in on because college football season is officially here. It is back, and there's a good chance that your favorite team is about to hit the field. But does that matchup that you're looking so forward to seeing land on a high-profile edition of Luntz's list? Let's go ahead and find out right here on The Meltdown.
What is this? What is this? Nonsense this, nonsense this, oh. What is this? What is this? Nonsense this, nonsense this, oh. Long since this goodbye, long since this goodbye, long since this goodbye, long since this goodbye.
All right, here is the question, John. I want you to lay out for us who you think will be the 5 most interesting college football matchups to watch this upcoming week. Now, these may not be the most competitive matchups, but I'm looking for intrigue really being the thing that lands these in the 5 spots that you've laid them out to. How did you approach this list?
Honestly, not a great week one, if I'm being honest, and maybe that's just because the 2 local teams are playing nobodies and UAB's even really playing a nobody. So just in terms of what their normal competitive opponent would be. And yeah, so the ones I picked may be more competitive games, except I think my number 5. But when it came to intrigue, typically week one, it's like, oh, what are those marquee matchups? What's the, what used to be like Alabama, Michigan, Alabama, Florida State to start things off. Because really, even Florida State, Georgia Tech, I probably wouldn't have included on the list if this would have been last week going into the week. But it ended up being a good game because that's a game that Florida State was a double-digit favorite in and by all accounts should have won handily. But I think we're all seeing how overrated Florida State really is.
This is a week where upsets are definitely on the radar just due to the fact that there are some very much predetermined winners, maybe societally, before they end up hitting the field. But that's why they play the games. Let's move on to number 5 of Luntz's list here to get this list kicked off. E.G., are you happy football is back?
I am. Oh, it's been a long time, it feels like. But this is my favorite time of year, sports fan-wise, because baseball and football are overlapping, and that's just incredible for me. And the Braves have had some good postseason runs lately.
I think October is the best sports month that exists because you've got pretty much everything that you could ask for there. All right. At number 5, explain why Tyler's Colorado team ends up making the list.
Because we just had an FCS team look really good against an FBS team. Now New Mexico not very good. You know what? Colorado's actually not very good either, despite the fact that Shedeur Sanders is good and Travis Hunter is good.
For their next practice.
Sure, go for it. It's like Danny Cannell tweeted after the Florida State game, was like, I'm keeping receipts on everybody who's talking trash. And it's like, ooh, okay, Florida State sucks. I'm going to throw myself in there. North Dakota State has typically been one of the best FCS teams. Montana State's up there. South Dakota State's up there. There's a lot of other good ones. But, if a team's going to come in and win an FBS game, they have done it before. And so if North Dakota State comes in and beats Colorado, I don't think it will happen. But if they were to come in and beat Colorado, then what Deion's made explode right there on the sideline. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
What percentage of the country is rooting for North Dakota State in that matchup?
Anybody that's not strictly a Colorado fan.
So 95% of the audience?
I mean, the way he has been going the last couple of weeks, yeah. I mean, his banning reporters and not letting certain people ask him questions. I mean, there's nothing to like about Colorado unless you just like Deion before and you just want to continue liking, I remember Deion when he played, football and baseball back in the day, and so I still like him.
Tyler, how do you approach the blasphemy of people wanting the downfall of Colorado so soon?
Deion's going to prove you wrong. I mean, you're really going to doubt Coach Prime? Come on.
With confidence like that, I'm bought into this Colorado program. Maybe with
that's
Tyler
what happened last season. Everybody was bought into the confidence.
Yeah,
but I think that's the difference. Is last season there was a certain newness about it, and he did come across as really likable. I think about that interview he did with Aaron Andrews.
Yeah,
and it's you wanted to root for him. I think by 1 month in, it was pretty clear the writing on the wall.
Do we ever see Deion coaching in the SEC?
No.
Never?
No.
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 It felt like it got close there for a second.
Because all anybody knew, are you saying with the Auburn? You're talking about with Auburn?
I'm talking about the chatter that was being propelled, especially by a national figure like Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
That was putting him up for jobs like maybe to be considered by Auburn.
And
maybe
A&M.
Texas A&M was a conversation at that point.
But that was post Jackson State, where that's all he had really done. It's like, he did good there, and that's a school.
Do we see a second wave of that sort of commentary?
No, because he's not doing anything in Colorado.
And he hasn't made any progress or made any friends between last season and now.
Yeah. Honestly, you think Vanderbilt would never consider hiring him and bringing him in? Why not?
They're not their ego, but their standards. Yeah. They'd rather lose gracefully.
It would be somebody like, Missouri's going to be good this year, but I would say somebody like a Missouri would have
South
to bring
Carolina.
him in. Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
a Texas A&M, no.
Auburn was getting close to desperation mode. I wouldn't say they were in desperation. I mean, you get rid of Harsin, but Lane Kiffin and Hugh Freeze are two legitimate coaches, at least. You're not quite in desperation mode unless that then doesn't work. Right. Hugh Freeze pulls a Hugh Freeze and gets himself fired, which could very well happen. Then maybe you're more desperation mode to where you do something like that, but he hasn't proven he can win.
Yeah.
He can't win at Colorado. No. He won his first 3 games or whatever, 4 games or whatever last year, and then just may as well have just not shown up.
Oregon came in and ended that pretty quickly there.
Yeah, you play one good team, and you can't do anything at that point moving forward.
Let's move on to number 4 on Luntz's list of the 5 most intriguing Week 1 college football matchups. Where will you be this Saturday?
I will be in Tuscaloosa. DeBoer's first game. Next week, I will also be in Tuscaloosa for the dedication of Saban Field. Then I'm back on the Plains. Week 3, Arkansas. And then week 4, Georgia, Bama.
What should Bama fans be the most confident about that maybe haven't really witnessed a lot of the offseason chatter surrounding the era of DeBoer?
That is a great question. I think that we heard a lot of it today, specifically with Coach Womack. But DeBoer's ability to be present and his ability to be the same person on the field, in the locker room, grilling steaks by the pool, I think that is something that's going to be very underrated, especially when you're stepping into a role behind Nick Saban. And you can talk about it all you want. You can say the man doesn't know how to recruit, that he's in the South now. But if that's the quality that his closest confidants are saying about him, that's a really good thing if you're an Alabama fan.
You know this. You maybe can't say it. You know it. John, you know this. Everybody knows this. DeBoer being a quote-unquote nice guy is a great thing until he loses his first game, and then it will be used against him. And his critics will use it as ammunition to talk about why he's not the right fit for the program. Now, I don't see that happening this weekend, but
week 3 Wisconsin.
You look at the schedule for Alabama this year, and there are some potential real,
it's not an easy schedule.
It's not an easy schedule at all. And
as long as it's 10-2, which then gets you in the playoff at that point, then
what will the wrath of some of the diehards be if Alabama goes out in one of these high-profile games and they're not even competitive? I mean, that's a possibility with a schedule like this that's as stacked as it is. Anyway, you don't want to talk on it. Got it.
Yeah.
Roll Tide, right? That's all you have to say? Okay, number 4, Miami at Florida. Talk about why this made the list, because about 20 years ago, this would have been number 1. Maybe about 25 years ago, this would have been number 1.
Yeah. Florida has fallen on hard times compared to where they used to be, and Miami is a pick to potentially win the ACC. My pick to win the ACC. I feel like people here think they're overrated, but then again, I feel like most people here also had Florida State winning, and they didn't look very good either. So, I think this is a chance for Miami to come out and prove, okay, we're the team, because another ACC team will appear later in the list that will have a tough time in week 1. So if they come out and look good against a rival in Florida who's not very good, and you come out and win, 45-0 in Gainesville, in a place that's supposed to be hard to play, then all of a sudden you're talking about firing the coach pretty soon at Florida, and you're talking about Miami potentially being a contender not only for the ACC but for running the playoff as well.
Now, let me weigh in on this. I would argue on the flip side of that, if Florida makes a statement win out of Miami, their season looks so much different.
Oh, yeah.
Their schedule is tough. It's no secret. But FSU now does not look as dominating, does not look as, scary in the distance. If Florida makes a case for themselves, and we were able to speak with them at media days, yes, it's not a good situation, but there is a little glimmer of hope for them.
Johnny, by the way, on the road, but only a 2.5-point favorite.
Give me number
seems low.
3 and number 2 here. Give me both of those. You know that feeling you get on Saturday? You've been working so many games here lately, EG, that you may not have this feeling, but like that feeling where you wake up on the first college football Saturday of full slate of games, and maybe you make an early morning grocery run or something. And I don't know. It's just like this.
It's
there's this feeling in the air that can't be replicated during any other part of the year.
Yeah. I don't experience that usually the first couple of weeks, because I think I've worked every Saturday for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But on those off weeks where it's okay, I get to sit down.
You get that feeling then.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's what are we cooking?
It's euphoric.
Yes. It's incredible. Who's coming over? What are we eating?
Fun stuff. At number 3, USC versus LSU. At number 2, Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. 2 SEC teams featured in these groupings. Why one over the other?
So the USC LSU game, I'm intrigued by it. Sunday, it's in Vegas, but A&M is one of those that I feel like people talk about. Hey, A&M's kind of a sleeper team there. They beat Notre Dame. All of a sudden, you're talking about they're a team that's right up there with Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri, Texas, whoever else is up there. So I'm a little more intrigued by Notre Dame going into Kyle Field than I am a neutral site game between USC and LSU. I'm not buying into LSU as much because they got bailed out a lot by a really, really good quarterback last year and really good receiver that he was throwing to, and both of them are gone to the NFL now. So, and I don't buy into USC as much because their quarterback has also gone to the NFL. So, and I don't really like Lincoln Riley that much. So I don't care as much about USC. I care more about Notre Dame because they are a contender because USC is moving into the Big Ten, and it's going to be very tough for them to get past Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, so many teams in that conference. But LSU, Texas A&M are right there that when it comes to Alabama's schedule, they're going to LSU. So is LSU a contender at that point, or have they lost to USC and another team or two to where they're not really as much a contender at that point? Texas A&M, though, is one of those that's like, don't sleep on Texas A&M. They could potentially be good, but they typically fall apart at some point and are actually a contender for the SEC championship, even though they may get a win over Alabama every now and then. But I'm more intrigued by Notre Dame actually going on the road to Cal Field.
What would be your level of shock if both LSU and Texas A&M go down? Both of them.
Not totally.
I agree.
I would be more shocked if they both won as opposed to if they both lost.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think LSU needs a win more than USC does because Brian Kelly still. Whoa.
Sorry, that was my.
You're good.
Like,
I have an appointment
spooky.
soon, so that was.
I thought
It did
that
sound spooky.
I thought that was a farting skeleton. Let's get to number 1 on Luntz's list, and we will be wrapped up for the day as we are looking at the most intriguing matchups of college football week.
But Brian Kelly needs a week 1 win on the road. He is yet to get that.
Yeah, I would say so too.
So it'll be interesting either way.
And the number 1 game on Luntz's list is
Has to be.
Clemson versus UGA
Has to be.
Bulldogs.
There's no other choice. This is the marquee matchup. It is in Atlanta, and so it's basically home-ish for Georgia.
Let me say something. If Kirby got embarrassed in this game, people wouldn't be writing him off altogether. I don't feel.
No.
I feel like he's earned the capital to be able to be blown out in this type of game, in this type of
A
environment.
lot worse losses to take.
However, if Dabo gets blown out in this game, everyone's going to be writing his eulogy. Am I right about that?
I feel like it's halfway written already, though.
I agree. It's pre-written.
Yeah.
You write a few more sentences in it because he still has to go lose to like Florida State, Miami.
Yeah.
I don't even know what their schedule is this year without divisions and everything. It's all out of whack. But he still has to go lose a couple more. I do think he will go lose a couple more. He will lose this one as well. But one of my bold predictions was Georgia will lose multiple games in the regular season. So this is one of those that it could potentially be.
You never know in
But
a week
I
1
don't
game like this.
I think it will be that.
Is Dabo a good coach? Leave it right at that. You did not want him to see him at Alabama, but is he a good
absolutely
coach?
not. He's an okay coach.
Okay, coach. Okay. He's accomplished great things for sure there at Clemson. All right, that is going to do it here for Luntz's List. We appreciate everybody being here with us. EG, thank you for stopping
Yes,
by.
absolutely.
Being a part of the show, giving us that Taylor Swift recap as well as all of your work that you do covering the college football season for the next round. Make sure you're subscribed to those guys and make sure you hit thumbs up on all of those videos, including ours here. It's a great time, John, to jump on at MyBookie, especially with the college football season getting into the full swing with a week 1 slate of action straight ahead.
2-0 in MyBookie so far for me. Took Georgia Tech plus 10.5 and the under 55 in that game. Nailed both of those. You can do that. I have to go make my picks, and I will lose it all this weekend at mybookie.ag. Promo code next round. Get that first deposit bonus if you're just signing up to go and play those games. You can play the sportsbook. You can play the casino. You can play the live casino. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere.
Tomorrow on the Meltdown, drafting best video game franchises of all time. That will be a contentious discussion for sure. Make sure you're here for it. 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm headed off to see Sing Sing, and we will see you again very soon.